Everyone. Before we get started tonight, I wanted to have a moment of silence for Jason Tanger. He was our Director of Information Technology and passed away earlier this week. So please join me in a moment of silence. All right, we will go ahead and it is, what's the date today? February 24th, and we are going to start our meeting call to order here at 5 p.m. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could we please call roll?
Councilmember Carter?
Here.
Councilmember Clarici?
Yep.
Mayor Gottberg?
Here.
Vice Mayor No?
Here.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Here.
All right, we have no ceremonial matters tonight, and we had no closed session. So we're going to move on to adoption of the agenda.
I'll move to adopt the agenda.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right. We will go ahead and move on to announcements and presentations to the public. 6.1, brief comments from the City Council, and I'm going to go ahead and actually start with our City Manager, who had some words he wanted to say tonight.
Thank you, Mayor Gottberg, members of the council. So appreciate the mayor taking the moment of silence. And I just wanted to, again, mention Jason Tanger, who passed away suddenly this last Sunday. So Jason was hired by the city as an information analyst on July 7th, 2016. He quickly demonstrated strong IT administrative skills and was promoted to Director of Information Technology on October 1st, 2020. My measurement for a strong IT division is when everything works well with little or no interruptions, which was the case under Jason's watch. I greatly appreciate Jason's tireless work ethic over the years in keeping our IT systems running smoothly, which required him to work many Saturdays and Sundays when emergencies arose. Because most city employees have computers, Jason knew most of them by name and visited them periodically to provide assistance and to catch up with them personally. So with Jason's sudden passing, it's very impactful, and we will miss him very much. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to Councilmember Yarborough.
Oh, I have nothing.
Carter.
I did go to the public meeting today for the Gathering Inn at Green Valley Church. They are bringing some senior and family housing to our city, which is very much needed, and so I'm very excited about seeing that come to fruition.
Great. Vice Mayor No.
I just wanted to let everyone know this Saturday we're having a cleanup day, so contact Dennis Nishihara for more details, but like 8 a.m., come have fun with us.
Councilmember Clay.
Woohoo! I also went to the Gathering Inn meeting today, and it was very good. And I am looking forward to this group coming into town and doing their thing. So that's it.
Great. And I have nothing else additional to add tonight. All right, we're moving on to item number 6.2, receive and file the real estate fraud prevention presentation. Yes, come on up.
I don't normally know your the way that you do things, so hopefully I'm appropriate. That's okay, it's kind of in my eyeball. All right, well, good evening, everyone. My name is Janelle Horn, and I am your El Dorado County Recorder Clerk. And thank you so much for having me here this evening. I'm here to talk about a really important subject. I think that is talked about in many circles, whether it be the real estate community or even just in the public sector altogether. So I'm going to do a presentation for you today. And basically, we're going to talk about real estate fraud. And what are we seeing here in El Dorado County? And so really what we're seeing in here in El Dorado County is vacant land fraud. And how that looks is in the last year or so, we have seen an uptick of basically seller impersonators. And how that works is an impersonator will contact a realtor and say that they're the owner of vacant land and they want to list it for sale. Now, because a lot of the information is of public record on that land, the impersonator has a lot of information. So even though the realtors are asking lots of good questions and they're saying, when did you purchase the property? How much did you buy it for? How many owners are on it? Have you made any improvements to the property? And those types of things, and they're able to answer all of those questions. Also, they're getting a lot smarter now, too, that realtors, title and escrow companies have required realtors to verify ID now when they're going into before they go into contract. And I can give you an example of something that happened here last year. So now these impersonators are contacting out of the county realtors to list property for sale in El Dorado County. This particular incident was a property that was based in Outingdale area, so South County, and they contacted a realtor from, I think it was realtor.com, and asked if they could list the property for sale. They actually presented her with fake IDs. The actual owners were out of the area. They lived in Nevada, and they presented fake IDs that had all of the correct information about those property owners on those IDs. The only thing that they got wrong is that the pictures were flip-flopped. And so Jamie was actually the female and Kelly was the male, and they accidentally flip-flopped those. But everything in regards to their mailing address, their birth date, the ID number, everything was correct on those IDs, which they probably got off the dark web. The realtor actually asked a lot of really great questions and asked if there were any improvements to the property, and the person said no. So when she went out there to put, first of all, when she saw the IDs, it kind of raised a red flag because they had an accent that didn't really match the pictures, but she wasn't going to discriminate, so she just went ahead, and when she went to put out that sign on the property, she realized there had been some grading done, and there was also a trailer parked on the property. So then that's when she contacted us and said, I think I'm dealing with a seller impersonator, and what do I do? So at that point, there's not much that we can do. And so we referred her over to the district attorney's real estate fraud division. Real estate fraud is one of the few crimes that you don't have to file a police report. You can go directly to the district attorney's office and file their complaint form, and then they can do the research that it takes to prosecute. So why are they targeting vacant land? Well, vacant land is an easy target because most likely there is not an encumbrance or a mortgage on that property, so it's usually a quick sale. A lot of the times those property owners are out of the area, which makes it easier as well because if they were local, they would be required to come into the title and escrow company, which then that they would meet face to face. So being that they're out of the area, it's not that big of a deal if these impersonators say they're out of the area. What other properties are at risk besides vacant land? I would say that, if you could go back, somebody, yeah, thank you. It would be any other properties that have a lot of equity in them, or that do not have a mortgage on them. So say that your parents paid off their home 15 years ago and they don't currently have a mortgage on it and they have a lot of equity, they are at risk of mortgage fraud. And how are they doing all of this? Like I said, they're creating fake IDs, but also the new thing with AI, they're also able to do what's called a deep fake. So title and escrow companies are trying to do proof of life, and that they've noticed that now with AI, just like you have a memoji like on your phone, or you're able to unlock your phone with your face, they're kind of doing that same thing. Is they'll overlay a picture on top of a video conference, and they'll move their mouth and everything, and they can do that as well. The next slide, please. I can do this too. So what can I do? Well, I know we move up to this and live up here in this really beautiful community because we like to not have to see our neighbors or know our neighbors. But if you have vacant land that's next to you, it's really important to actually know who owns that land so that if you've ever had a conversation with them, they're saying, oh, we're never gonna sell. And then you see a sign pop up, you can give them a jingle and say, you know what, there's been a lot of seller impersonations. I just want to make sure that you did intend to list your property for sale. Again, what else you can do is that only 10% of real estate fraud gets reported. So making sure that we report it to the district attorney's office and so that they can create a file. And maybe we don't catch these guys this time, but maybe the next time we do. So if we are able to gather all that information if they're using a specific email address with IP addresses, they can be able to create that file. I know, so the next question is do I need to pay for title lock? So if you've ever been up late in the evenings and seen the commercials that scare you half to death, that somebody's gonna steal your property from out underneath you, and then they wanna charge a fee for that. They actually have radio advertisements as well. No, really, even before we came out with our free monitoring, you don't need to pay for title lock for a couple of reasons. One, it's a reactive service. So as the recorder's office, by state law, whether if we are presented with a document, say like a grant deed, and it meets recording requirements, by law we are required to record it, whether it's legally sufficient or not. So there's nothing really that can keep us from recording a document if it meets those recording requirements. And being a reactive service, they are notifying you as a homeowner that it has already occurred. So it's not something that's preventative. Also, the reason why you don't need to pay for their service is because we index and publish our records, our index. It's live, it's up to date. So as that document gets recorded and then it gets indexed, it's published the same day. So you can check your name 24 hours, 7 days a week, and see if anything has recorded in your name or out of your name. And the best reason, and the reason why I'm here today, is because the El Dorado County Recorder Clerk's Office has implemented a free property monitoring program. And I can tell you that, so I've been in the office now for 7 years, and since I've been there, we've had people either call me or they come into the office and they ask, what are you doing to protect my property? And even though I'm not a crime fighter, and it's not necessarily my job, I do feel a little obligated to see what I can do to help our property owners in El Dorado County. So I'd heard of there's other products that are offered to the public sector, like title lock, but I never really liked them because they were all reactive. They didn't have a proactive service about them. So I'm going to tell you about what we do have. So we decided to go with a company called Equity Protect. And the reason why I really like them is because if I know you, you know my background a little bit, and I had 20 years plus or minus of experience in the mortgage industry. And the reason why I like Equity Protect is because the same company, the same owner, has owned a mortgage company for 30 years. And so he's been dealing with fraud for a really long time, and he wanted to create something with the title and escrow companies on what can they do to be proactive. And so, so an example of what they're actually monitoring is, so they're monitoring the property title and record, the public record. So our office, like the recorder clerk's office, so any documents that get recorded, like a deed, a mortgage, a deed of trust, any of those documents, you will be notified if anything gets recorded. But they're also monitoring the assessor's office. So another way that criminals are targeting is that there was an easy way to change the mailing address for a property. They have now fixed that and doing a few more steps to verify identity, but at one time it was very easy to do so. They would just pick up the phone and call, and they would change the mailing address. So then, once they got that, then they would be able to show, oh, here's my property, it's coming to my address, and this is another way of showing proof. So public records. So public records are being monitored. And then they're also monitoring rental and sales sites, third-party sites. So like Realtor.com, Zillow, Craigslist, Trulia, and then there's a handful of them, but those ones. So if your property gets listed for sale, I'll give you an example. One happened down in Monterey County while we were going through our contract process, and the property owner was notified, and so was the realtor within 4 hours of it being posted, and it was immediately taken down. So that is definitely being proactive, of being able to monitor it and then take it down so that the process doesn't go all the way to the end and actually record. And then they're also monitoring the dark web as well. What's included with it? So you'll get an email notification. So if anything pops up on any of those sites, if anything gets recorded, if they find anything on the dark web, you will get an email notifying you. Also, they're going to do a monthly analysis, and they kind of break it down, all of the websites that they're searching, and it'll say yes or no if it popped up, just so you're getting that additional notification if you missed the first email. And then in our contract, I really wanted, because it kind of goes back to what are you doing for me? I don't want people to pay for something that they don't need, right? And so with like Title Lock being a reactive service, I don't want people having to pay for something that you can get for free. So also I don't want the public to be strayed into a maybe non-reputable company or anything like that. And so I have asked them, and it's part of their package, is they're going to do a free risk assessment. It's an 1,100 point assessment to determine if you are at medium to high risk for fraud. Now, there is no obligation to go with their other service that they have, but I'm just letting you know, because I've asked them to, so that you guys can make the determination if you want additional protection. I have a company that is helping us with our other notification, and they are leaders in the industry. And what that entails is, with the, did I skip one? No? No? Okay, I might have accidentally deleted one slide. Okay, well, okay, so the risk assessment, so they have what's called a premier property protection. And basically, they are the only ones out there that are doing this. It's patented, and it's backed by a $1 million policy, insurance policy. And what it is they are recording within our office a document. It's called a UCC, which is a Uniform Commercial Code document, which basically places a cloud on your title, so that if you were to go through, say, escrow, it would pop up on your title report, and it will show that there is this cloud, and it would need to get removed before that they can issue a clear title. And so it basically puts a hold and a stop on everything so that the transaction doesn't go through. Now, they have that $1 million policy in place because if it's, say, for example, it doesn't go through a title or escrow company, it doesn't come up on a title report, and it say that we received the document like a deed through the mail or over the counter, it'll basically help you to roll that back into your name. Because once a document becomes public record, you have to go through the court system in order for it to be removed. It's a really lengthy process and time-consuming, and it costs money because you have to pay for attorneys. But I do have a copy, if anybody wants it. I have a copy of that $1 million policy because I wanted to see it. I asked all the questions like, do you have to use a particular attorney, or can you use your own? They said you can use any attorney that you want. And so it's a really great program. I think, there's my questions. Okay, so what is the free or risk assessment? Like I said, there's no obligation. It's just informational for you. If you decide you want it, they do have a product. So how do they have access to the recorder clerk records? Well, we give them daily access to a secure file that they download every day so that they can update you as soon as possible if something has been recorded. They don't have access to any personal information. We don't have any of that information. Everything that we have in the office is public. And also, another reason why I like this company, because the other companies out there that we looked at, they wanted proprietary rights to the documents, which basically means that they can go and resell them, and which basically takes money from the county because we make money off the sale of our documents. So let's see here. Another question is can I sign up my elderly parents for the free property monitoring? And yes, you certainly can. You would just need to know how it reads on their title when you go to sign up, and then you can use your own email address. And then another question, what if you own property outside of El Dorado County? They still have their own website, equityprotect.com, and you can sign up that outside of the area property through them directly. You just won't get the dark web monitoring because that was something that we negotiated within our contract. And I want you all to see how easy it is because there's no reason why you guys shouldn't sign up for the free monitoring. So if you'll take your phones out, if you're allowed to, I don't know if you're allowed to, but if you will scan that QR code, and all you have to do is put in your name, your address, the property address, and an email address, and then hit send. And it should be so easy, and then you're monitoring. So I am open to any questions that the board may have for me that maybe I didn't answer.
Yep. Any questions from anybody up here? I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
What happened? What happened to the person with the property? Did they get caught and put in jail? The one here.
The example that I
Yeah.
So there's technicalities when it comes to crime. I'm sure Chief Wren can tell you, but the deed actually didn't get recorded.
Oh, so
Actual crime yet.
No.
So, but if you'd like an example of one that did go through, we did have one recorded. So South Lake Tahoe is unfortunately highly targeted because their property values are high, and most of those property owners live out of the area. So this particular one, the owner lives in Canada, and he called our office and said, why did I get this deed recorded on my property and a $129,000 check for my property, and I didn't sell it. And we said, what? So we did some research. So when you record a document out of the country, it has to be notarized for a property that is located inside of the United States. It has to be notarized by the consulate at the embassy. So we looked at the document. It met all the recording requirements, had the embassy seal on it, had the notary stamp. So in our eyes, it didn't look like there was anything wrong with it. We looked it up online and saw that the consulate was the same person who signed the document. And so my assistant recorder called their security office and asked if this was legitimate. And he said, if you have a document that was signed by the consulate, it's fraud because she is too busy dealing with dignitaries and other appointments that she does not have time to do paperwork. She has her staff that she's deputized to perform that feature on her behalf. So we then went from there to, okay, well, this is we reported it to the real estate fraud division of the district attorney's office, and they've been working on that investigation. Now you're probably wondering, why did they get the check if the whole point is to get the money? Well, so there are some checks and balances when it comes to title and escrow companies. If they have a wire instructions and it doesn't match their file, so say the names didn't match on the other end of the receiving or the address, it kicks it out and automatically prints a check. The wire didn't go through. And so that's why the property owner received the check. It was a mistake. And so, anyways, but the person who purchased the property was based in Elk Grove. And since the monies didn't leave the country or go anywhere, she happily transferred the property back to the owner, and so it did not have to go through the court system on that transaction. So, any other questions?
I don't think so. Are there any questions from the public? Comments? All right, I see nobody getting up to come and talk, so we will go ahead and move on to the next item. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I gave you those little postcards that have the QR code on them. Just so you know, we are going to be working with the treasurer tax collector. Those are going to come in your tax bill, so you'll see them again. But we do have more. If you ever want to leave any at the city office, we can leave a stack there for you. If you want to hand them out, you just let me know. And but we're doing our best to fight fraud in El Dorado County. So thank you so much for having me.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we will go ahead and move on to item number 7, consent calendar. Would anybody like to pull anything from the consent calendar? Nope. Would any member of the public like to comment on our consent calendar? All right, I see none. I'll bring it back to the council for a motion.
I'll move consent. I'll second.
Could I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
Mayor Gottberg?
Aye. All right, we are going to move on to number 8, public comment, non-agenda items. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. You'll be limited to 3 minutes. Is there any member of the public that would like to talk to us about something that is not on our agenda tonight?
Good evening, City Council. Susan Rodman, Placerville resident. Placerville has an obligation to its residents and to the public in general to provide for public safety and to increase safety for bicycles and pedestrians. There have been modifications to streets to clearly designate a separate travel space for bicycles. You can see these clearly marked in bright green up on Broadway. However, those bike lanes between parked cars, the ones on Broadway, are between the parking lanes and the travel. And I think there's a problem there. My daughter's recent experience with this configuration indicates it may not be as safe as we thought. While riding her bike to work, a person in a parked car opened their driver's side door, broadside into her bicycle, sending her and her bike rolling into the traffic lane, where she was in danger of being run over by other cars in the street. She was very fortunate that no other cars hit her, and she escaped with a beat-up shoulder and a mangled bicycle. Before we complete work to create more bike-friendly streets in Placerville, we need to fully evaluate how we configure parking and travel lanes to prevent this type of accident. My observation is that it would be safer to isolate the bike lanes from traffic by placing the bike lanes next to the curb and gutter, rather than between parked cars and ongoing traffic. Please take these comments into consideration for our future projects along Placerville Drive and on other roads. Thank you.
Are there any other comments for non-agenda items? Nope. All right. We will move on to item 8.2, written communication. Do we have any written communications?
Yes, Madam Mayor. One item was received today for item 10.2 from Frank Porter. Copies are on the back table for the public as well as posted online under public comments for tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Great. We had no items pulled from the consent calendar, so we'll move on to item number 10, ordinances.
Oh, yeah.
10.1, zoning ordinance amendment 25-03, Title 10, zoning, section 10-4-17, sign regulations. Request to continue consideration of regulated A-frame sandwich board signs in the commercial business district zone to the March 10th, 2026 City Council meeting. Ms. Kendrick.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and council members. I am requesting that this item be continued to our next meeting so that it allows additional time for our legal team to review the changes and the comments made by the city council and the public from our last meeting. That concludes the update. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Would any member of the public like to comment on us continuing this item to our next meeting?
Good evening, Kathy Lishman, Placerville resident. At the last meeting, I'm glad this is being continued, and I hope a lot of review will be done. When it comes back, at the last meeting, I asked the question, how many buildings are there in downtown? How many businesses are there in each building? And I'm hoping that when it comes back, there can be a table that can show that information so that we can see and what the sidewalk width is. I think an analysis needs to be done of the possibilities before you get somewhere and then say, oops. So I hope that information can come back when it comes back. Thank you. Another thing is there was discussion of, after it closed public hearing, I think, a discussion of whether one building could have two signs. My suggestion would be one business can put a sign on one side and one business can put a sign on the other side. So it's a challenge in our downtown area. Thank you.
All right. I will bring it back up to the council for a motion.
I'll move staff recommendation.
I'll second that.
Okay, could I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
Mayor Gottberg?
Aye. All right, we will move on to item number 10.2, request for continuance, zoning ordinance amendment 25-02, Title 10 zoning, Chapter 4, Section 10-4-20, short-term rentals to include hosted short-term rentals. Ms. Kendrick.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the same as the previous item. Again, we wanted to allow additional time for the legal team to review the last meeting and the comments from the city council and the public and make sure that we have it where it needs to be legally. That concludes my update. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right. Would any member of the public like to comment on us continuing item 10.2 to our next meeting?
Kathy Lishman, Placerville resident. He's got a job tonight. At your last meeting after the public hearing closed, I agree with continuing it. After the public hearing closed, the council brought up the idea of letting ADUs be used for hosted rentals. I hope you will consider that, reconsider that. And the public was not able to comment on it at the time. The state has usurped local ordinances in order to promote development of housing and not in order to create motels in neighborhoods by allowing ADUs to become hosted short-term rentals. ADUs are not intended to be a windfall for a property owner. Concessions had to be made in certain areas like reduced setbacks, fee waivers, reduced parking, shorter permitting time, and there are actually some plans available. I hope when this item returns, a list of the concessions for ADUs will be included, and the concessions should only be for long-term rentals in ADUs and not hosted short-term rentals. Using ADUs for permanent housing will help the city with the housing allocations it receives from the state and SACOG. Hosted rentals won't. An ADU can even be created right on the property line in the case of an existing building. The adjoining property owners, your constituents, would not want a motel located either on the property line or 4 feet from it. Would the city have the legal ability to have different standards for ADUs versus hosted ADUs? And before you adopt any new ordinance, I hope you develop the enforcement mechanism for hosted ADUs. Right now, the city has a hard time enforcing things, and code enforcement is only by complaint, which to me does not seem right. I know of 4 illegal vacation rentals in this town that are very well known, and the city hasn't done anything about it. And I just think that following the ordinances is very important, so don't adopt something that can't be enforced. Thank you.
Hello, Council. Peg Vanderkar, Placerville. The letter you have from Housing El Dorado, I also signed and edited. I just wanted to emphasize what's in the letter and speak also of careful definitions of what short-term means, and also lots of clarity. There is a vacation rental, full house, 2 doors down from me, that is full every weekend. It's outside of the zone that's legal. And the place is kept up, which is good, but it's not part of the neighborhood. Placerville is short of hotel space, I realize, so they have a lot of things to consider. But ADUs were often built for elderly parents or something like that. And our emphasis in the letter is to make sure that if they're used for anything, especially not very short term, we would not want very short term because we need the housing, but have them hosted so people are there. And I agree with what Kathy said too. So just emphasizing our concern as HED members and city members and county members that we need to increase our housing, especially for people who can't pay the high amounts of buying a house these days. Thank you.
So Rodman, I'd like to second that. I don't think ADUs were ever intended to be used as short-term rentals, and I hope we do not approve doing that. ADUs were supposed to help with the housing shortage, not provide people with vacation spots. and they do not improve a neighborhood. And if you really doubt that, go take a look at South Lake Tahoe. South Lake Tahoe is really having problems with their ADUs and short-term rentals and everything else in short-term rentals. So I don't think we should take a lesson from it and not emulate it. So I think ADUs should be off limits for short-term rentals, hosted or not, just period. No ADUs should be used for rentals, for short-term rentals. If you've got somebody who's going to stay for 5 years and work somewhere in Placerville, that's a different story. But just to come for the weekend, nah. Go find a motel.
All right. I see no more comment on this item, so I will bring it back to the council for a motion.
I'll move staff's recommendation.
I'll second that.
Could I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
Mayor Gottberg?
Aye. All right, we have no public hearings tonight, so we're going to move on to item number 12, discussion and action items. 12.1, acknowledge and file the water sales report for calendar years 2023, 2024, and 2025. Ms. Tornicasa.
Good evening, Mayor Gottberg and City Council members. Natalie Tornicasa, Interim Director of Finance, presenting item 12.1, water sales report for calendar years 2023, 2024, and 2025. So the purpose of this report is to provide the public and the City Council statistical information on the city's annual wholesale water purchases compared to water sales. Some quick background, the city purchases wholesale water from the El Dorado Irrigation District, EID, and delivers it to city customers through our distribution system comprised of water lines, pumps, valves, and meters. Some of the water purchased from EID is not sold, and this is due to mandatory system flushing, fire suppression use, and leaks. Due to the city's aged water system, which was previously riddled with leaks, the amount of unaccounted water was on the rise until 8 years ago when the city began heavily investing in its water line replacement thanks to the much-needed funding from the Measure H and L sales taxes. So in calendar year of 2017, the city purchased 1,473 acre-feet AF of water from EID. Of that amount, 536 or 36% was unaccounted water, as shown in the graph on page 1. To put this in perspective, older water systems in good working condition have unaccounted water rate of about 15% on average, or less than half of, which is less than what Placerville reported in 2017. So we've been tracking this annually, and due to the ongoing efforts of the engineering department and the public works department to either repair or replace much of the city's failing water system, that amount of unaccounted water began falling significantly, beginning in 2018 when it totaled 301 AF or 24.8%, 24.8% versus when we started in 2017 at 36%. So the good news is that the trend has continued over the last several years. We did see unaccounted water rise in calendar years 2023 and 2024 to 31.43% and 29.68% respectively. The Public Works Department contributes the increase to 2 large water main breaks, one in September of 2023 and another in April of 2024. But good news, by 2025, the unaccounted water decreased to its lowest level since 2019 to 166 AF or 15.86%. Since 2018, the city has saved 2,351 cumulative unaccounted for water, which results in 724,112 savings of annual water purchase costs. And this is, again, primarily just due to the improvements the city has made to our system. Just continue thanks to Placerville voters, Measure H and L sales tax are being invested to the city's aged water system, which not only helps ensure water is delivered in a safe and reliable manner to customers, but it's also reducing the cost of operations. And that concludes my report.
Are there any questions from the council? No? Any public comment on this item?
Sue Rodman, member of the Measure H, Measure L committee. And aren't we glad we have Measure H and Measure L? This actually shows it's paying partly back for some of the money that has been collected and used, and we're making some savings on it besides. So, you know, hooray. This is what we needed to do, and it's happening.
Ruth Carter, City of Placerville. Maybe you could just talk to somebody over at EID and lower that uncaptured water even more by letting them know that they've had a leak in that right-hand corner, and they've been told about it twice for, I don't know, 5 years now, at least.
Since we moved in.
Every single night on the right-hand corner of their property, in the street. Okay, thanks.
Oh, of your property.
No, their property.
Their property.
Oh, their property.
I've walked into their lobby twice and
The
told them
corner
about
of
their
EID
leak.
is
And
And they just don't.
Right across the street
Yeah.
on Mosquito, right
Across from
before you
Hunt and
get
Sons.
talking.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Any more, looks like no more public comment. Council?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to staff for calling out those water main breaks. I don't think people, they don't think about lost water and the causes of that. It's not just leaks, it's not just inefficiencies in the system, but these water main breaks are a big part of of how we lose water. So, kudos on that, and let's keep doing that if we have spikes like that, just to explain to the public exactly where they come from. That was great information.
Great. Any further comments? I believe this is a receive and file, so I don't think we need any motion on this. So if there's no further comments, we'll move on to the next item, 12.2. Provide general direction to staff on the city's level of engagement for the celebration of Independence Day for the nation's 250th anniversary occurring on July 4th, 2026. Mr. Nishihara.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Dennis Nishihara, avid timekeeper for City Council meetings, and also the Director of Communications. Tonight you have before you what may seem like a redundant question in regards to the status of the America's semi-cinquentennial or 250-year anniversary. I want to give a quick and brief update in regards to kind of where we're at. Approximately 130 days remain to July 4th. There is currently no adopted budget for additional events this year, and I just want to briefly just kind of mention some of the events that are on the horizon. Probably not an all-inclusive list, but we've got the fishing derby, we've got Halloween on Main, we've got the Christmas tree lighting, we've got a parade. So there are a number of events already kind of planned this year. And the reason I want to be able to kind of put some decisions to bed here tonight is I realize that it is only February and 250 years is magnanimous. It's a pretty amazing thing to celebrate. And it may not feel substantial today as it sits in February of 2026. However, I will caution us that it will probably feel substantial around June 1st of 2026, when everyone starts to realize that, yes, we have an amazing fireworks show, we've got some other things, and the question will remain, well, Mr. Nishihara, what do you have planned for this 200? Well, I have a fishing derby, I've got this, I've got that, I've got this, I've got that. And so I have had some conversations with a few members in the county and a couple of council members and a few people in the community. What is really kind of, I want to highlight, it is a big deal, and I don't want to overburden either the city or other smaller CBOs or community-based organizations. Merchants on Main has made amazing tractions through Oktoberfest and a lot of different things, and I want to help to support them. Golden History Days is a smaller event, and so adding some of these other pieces that part of the 250 may or may not kind of help it, right? Like, yes, we can add some flavor to it, we can add some pomp and circumstance and some flags and other things, but to burden other organizations or to take on what we know fiscally we can't hold and push all the way through, I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page in regards to, we do definitely want to do something, and I want us to understand that sometimes quantity is not necessarily what we're aiming for as opposed to quality. And so if it has to do with perhaps downtown decorations or little things throughout the year that kind of celebrate and put a bow or a flag on an event to highlight the 250-year celebration, those are some of the ideas and some of the thoughts that kind of are around it. With that said, there was a part of my staff report that did indicate an RFP, because in my business and where I've been sitting in my desk, and I have amazing ideas, trust me, I've got 1,000 ideas, and everybody has awesome and creative ideas, right? But until we're able to put pen to paper and until we're able to put traction to it, short of Dennis trying to do a fireworks show when there's already one, or some other pieces that we have ideas around, I think that was my recommendation around. I think if people have a great idea, that's wonderful. Can we just put it on paper, budget it out, and as I'm sure Joe would know, proper prior planning would prevent poor performance, right? Isn't that the 6 Ps? I don't know. But with that said, you have my report, and I'm available for questions and direction. I serve at the pleasure of the council. Thank you for your time.
Okay, I will bring it to the council. Is there questions from the council or comments at this time? All right, I will go ahead and open it up for public comment then.
Kathy Lishman, I believe in simple, and I think the most fabulous thing that the city could do is have a parade. Thank you.
I think it would be wonderful if we could have a parade, and maybe there's a way to offset some of the costs for the security, the added security or decor. Maybe, we ask for a small, $50 per car in the parade, or, vehicle in the parade, something like that. Thanks.
All right, looks like that's it on our, do one more public comment?
Hi, Kathy Dunkak, El Dorado County Fair, and I just wanted to share with the council while you're doing your research that we do plan on having our fireworks show in Family Blast, barring any unexpected explosions this year. We are partner with the Speedway on those fireworks, and we'll have music and maybe some bounce houses. It just kind of depends on what we can get. So if the city council wants, Dennis and I have met and talked before, if you guys want to join up or partake in part of that, my door's always open.
All right. I'll go ahead and bring it back to the council for discussion.
I'll start us. I mean, I've been trying for at least 6 months to try and find somebody that was willing to take this on and do the planning and fundraising, and I have been unsuccessful, and I know others of us have tried also. And we are at the point now where I think the parade is, I think, almost certainly sailed, but obviously this, as Dennis said, this 250th is a generational opportunity. And anything that we can do as a city, obviously we're supporting the fairgrounds in there. That's always been our goal, is to, whatever we do, we're funneling people to the fairgrounds for the fireworks and for their celebration. But, we definitely need to talk about, some additional decorations, some social media just to celebrate. But I think at this point, we've just been unable to find a community group that was willing to take this on and do all the planning. And so, my position would be that, we do everything we can as a city that doesn't cost anything and burden our staff to celebrate this. But at this point, I don't see us doing any big events. And hopefully we can get some smaller people or smaller community events that'll come in here and help us to organize this celebration. But yeah, the Main Street closure, I think at this point is off the table. And I hope we can figure out some other ideas to celebrate this thing.
Everybody loves a parade, and who doesn't? Until you ask somebody to go organize a parade, and then they're all like, there's crickets, and they run for the hills because no one actually wants to do that. They want to tell you that you should have a big celebration. Ryan, Councilmember Carter, we talked about this months ago offline. We just talked about it, and I agreed with him. And I had people texting me. I could show you texts. What is the city going to do on July 4th? And it's like, well, what we do on every day, we run the city. I think we should decorate the bell tower. There is rumors, I have heard rumors that, was it the foundation bought bunting some time ago? I don't know when this happened, but you know how things get mushed up in this town. But, and it was distributed to the downtown, to the merchants. And so can we, Tim, you have this look on your face like, I've never heard of that. Anyway. That's better. Anyway, I think we should try to do that. I think we can do that. We can decorate that. Well, we talked about a banner, using the banner from Old City Hall and saying, hey, we celebrate 250 years. You and I chatted about this some months ago and said, maybe these things are not time consuming. We talked about bookending it between the wagon train and the 4th of July. And maybe just throwing things out on this day, on that day, if you want to, finding out what is happening in the community and highlighting those things, pushing it out on social media, pushing it out. And then if people want to do something at the pool, not at the pool, but at the park, have something there, But yeah, closing, for one thing, if the MoMA people come across with the wagon train, we're talking about closing Main Street on June, the early part of June for the wagon train again, which is fine. And then you'd be talking about coming back on July 4th and closing Main Street. And, it's physically possible, but I'm not so sure it's a thing. And there's just not enough time. There is not enough time. Nobody wants to do a half-ass anything. And that's we're starting to get into that territory. And so, I don't think we should do that. I think we should figure out a way to gussy up the town as much as possible. Talk to MoMA, see if there's any traction with any of the merchants to do some decorations on Main Street. That would be great. And then just pushing people to the fairgrounds, because that's where all that's going to be a lively place. And they have the room and they have the wherewithal and all those words. So anyway, I hate to be cynical, but you kind of felt like this was going to happen pretty early on, and now it's happened. Sorry. Anyway, so I think our direction should be, whatever we can do at the bell tower, the properties we own, maybe we can do something with the fronts of Mustard and Ketchup. They're not going anywhere, as far as we know, and maybe decorate there, and then see what folks on Main Street are doing. Anyway, my 2 cents.
I'll just say I agree with my colleagues. We made a policy, and anyone who wanted to close Main Street, we're supposed to have an application in by the end of January. Nobody's done that. We've talked about it in a couple council meetings. Pardon me, brought it up, and no one's picked that up. As I said last time we had this, I'd really like to see us decorate up the bell tower, Town Hall, Old City Hall, pardon me. The police station, the fire station, City Hall. I think we should allocate $1,000 seed money to this so Dennis can get going on some of that decorating. And we should solicit donations. I know I'll donate to that. I would love to see our town decorated, and I think we should be a part of that.
Yeah, I agree. I had my meeting this morning with the city manager, and we talked about a couple of different things. The bell tower definitely came up, decorating the bell tower. I know the flags are going to be out, for that. I grew up in a town that we had an annual 4th of July parade, but the one thing that I remember the most wasn't necessarily the parade. It was every merchant in town decorated all their windows, period. So I think we highly encourage the merchants, even if it's a merchants organization, to go out and just at least solicit the merchants, hey, let's just decorate, get things decorated up for the 250th, make it look great, get the bell tower up. Reach out to the recruiters' offices. Are they willing to help out with some decorations or do something, something like that? So I think that would be the best bet for us when it comes for the city. And I agree, $1,000 seed money to, help get some decorations out sounds great.
Yeah, I think I also agree with my colleagues here. I think, focusing on doing what we can to decorate our property, to advertise the event at the fairgrounds, and to encourage the Main Street merchants and stuff to decorate as well if we're doing it on all the city-owned property that we can. And I'm fully on board with saying $1,000 to give our staff something to work with in terms of a budget, and then see what we can do in terms of raising money from folks who want to donate to increase that to whatever level we can for what we can do to decorate. So do we need anything else? I don't think we need a motion on this. Is that clear direction and we're all on board here for staff?
Thank you for the comments. One item I would ask the council take action on, there was a mention of $1,000.
Okay.
If there could be a motion to appropriate $1,000 from the general fund unassigned fund balance for the purposes of seed money for decorations, and also authorizing staff to seek donations from local donors.
Before we actually move on that, $1,000 is not a lot of money, but will that be enough to whet the appetite?
I think it's good. It's a good start.
It's a good starting point.
It's a
Okay,
good start.
great.
I think it's a good effort from city council and staff to be able to show the community that we're moving forward with something. It gives us some traction.
Yes.
To Gussie.
Yes.
Down.
And I will make a prediction. We will be blamed for nothing happening, so we might as well just take it. We'll just take it right now, our mea culpas, I guess, because no one else volunteered for anything. Yeah. Yes. No, don't.
So technically, this item has been agendized for the council to receive an update and consider an RFP. So it's not agendized to take action for the $1,000 appropriation. However, that is within the city manager's budgetary and purchasing powers, so the city manager can do that by having just received direction from you. So normally we would take motions on any expenditure of funds, but we're going to do it a little bit different tonight.
Okay, great. So, yeah.
So we're not going to take action on the RFP, then? That's our direction.
Yes.
I'm hearing that the council does not wish to pursue that, so there's no action to take.
There's no action.
Correct.
I'm just being clear.
And we provided, there's no action, and we provided direction to staff relating to decorations. So that's, okay, great. We'll move on then. I just want to make sure we do that right. Item number 13, council reports from other agency meetings. El Dorado County Transit Authority.
We meet next week.
El Dorado County Transportation Commission.
Same.
LAFCO.
We did not meet.
SACOG.
SACOG met, and there was a meeting of no consequence for us.
All right, Pioneer.
We meet on Thursday.
Placerville Fire Safe Council, we also did not meet. Opportunity Knox.
We did not meet.
Great. Would any member of the public like to comment on our meetings? I see none. Great. We'll bring it back to item 14. Are there any requests for future agenda items? All right. I see none. So we'll move on to item 15, city manager and staff report, starting with 15.1, receive and file January 2026 police report stats. Chief Wren.
Greetings. January started off pretty flat, very manageable for us. If you notice, the priority one response times are starting to go down. That's a direct result of us getting our staffing back. We had 2 of the 3 officers back on duty, and that's really helped us out. And going back to the 4th of July celebration, I will donate the decorations for the police department.
Great. Thank you.
Any questions?
15.2, Receive and file the January 2026 Fire Station 25 Run Report. Chief Cardero.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor and Council. Within your packet, you'll see the run stats for Station 25 for the month of January. It has been a fairly busy start to the year for the fire department as well. We had several fires in town that were handled appropriately by our crews. The last week with the snow, thankfully, we had some additional resources that were pre-positioned by OES. It was an extremely busy time for our crews. We did have a reported fire in the city of Placerville that the engine from Cameron Park was the first engine to arrive because everybody else was in Pollock Pines, Camino, et cetera. It was an unfounded fire, so it was not an issue. With that, I would say that the inquisitive look about the bunting, I think I've seen the bell tower with the 4th of July bunting on it, and I will just match my friend and colleague, Chief Red, and I too will take care of matching bunting for Fire Station number 25 for the 4th of July.
I have a question?
Yes.
There was the fire by that house by the high school? There was a fire up there.
Yes.
What was that about?
That was, it started on what appeared to be like an exterior add-on in like a laundry room. We did commend the bus driver. It was actually a bus driver that drove by, noticed smoke, and then they actually awoke the residents. There were no smoke detectors that were working in that building. So please, everybody, make sure you check your smoke detectors and have those.
Yeah.
But it was a small fire and quick.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. 15.3, Development Services Department monthly statistics for the month of January 2026. Ms. Kendrick.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So for January, Development Services took in about $26,000 between planning and building. That included 45 building inspections that were primarily single-family dwellings. We also issued 45 permits and completed 22, with them primarily being HVAC, followed by re-roof and solar. In planning, we accepted a lot line adjustment application, a conditional use permit, 2 variances, and did 2 situs addresses. And for code enforcement, we received 33 requests for investigation, 10 new cases, with the cases primarily being unlawful construction, followed by nuisance, and then we have substandard buildings, unsafe structures or equipment, and then apparatus access roads. That concludes my update. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right. Item 15.4, acknowledge and file the HDL sales tax and economic reports for the quarter ended September 30th, 2025. Ms. Tornin-Casa.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So when looking at Q3 24-25 versus Q3 23-24, cash basis was up $84,925 or 5.6%. Increase, but when you take in adjusted for economic data, we are actually down year over year, 14,880 or 0.9%. What contributed to that? Fuel and service stations down 11.9. That price of gas at the pump. General consumer goods down 11.9. We had a closure of Big Lots because, again, we're reporting of last year through September 30th of 2025. And food and drug down 2.1 with the closure of Rite Aid. So when you look at the city of Placerville versus El Dorado County and the state, Placerville's Bradley Burns, again, was down 0.9%, whereas El Dorado County is up 3.6% and the state is up 1.9% for that quarter. As you guys are aware, we have 3 add-on sales tax, Measure H, J, and L. Those actually performed better in the third quarter, with Measure H, J, and L up over 4% for both the cash basis and adjusted for economic data when compared to Q3 of the previous year, 23-24. For adjusted for economic data, just wanted to call out for the add-on sales tax, business and industry were notably up more than 22%. The increase can be partially contributed to a one-time big payment from PG&E. When we compare our 25 top sales tax producers quarter over quarter, Les Schwab, Tire Center, Shell, and Taco Bell were added, whereas SafeLight, AutoGlass, SaveMart, and Verizon Wireless were removed. And so then when we look at the summary and outlook, so HDL is continuing to forecast sales tax statewide, so for California to modestly increase this fiscal year, up overall 1.7%. But for Placerville and in speaking with HDL, they do anticipate we're going to see an increase, but a little bit lower than statewide at 0.8%. City of Placerville budgeted sales tax revenue for this fiscal year at 6.249, and HDL is currently forecasting to come in slightly lower at 6.215. And then when you project out to the next fiscal year, which we start planning, or we've started planning on and budgeting for fiscal year 26-27, they're forecasting statewide increase at 2.6%, but for Placerville, slightly lower than that at a 1.8% increase for the upcoming fiscal year. We will continue to monitor the trends and report back on the outlook and sales tax performance. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right. Are there any questions from the council on any of the item 15? No. Are there any comments from the public on any of our item 15 city manager and staff reports? All right, I see none. So moving on to 16 upcoming items. This is, you can read the agenda at your leisure of what we will be doing in our future meetings. And I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 6:11 p.m.